Hey guys, this is Collin Moshman for CardRunners.com. Today we have a $16.50 Turbo MTT played by myself on PokerStars. First hand, any Ace X. I'm going to open in the small blind. And we don't get any takers. And same on the button. Now once the cutoff open limps, I'm going to isolate most hands that would have opened on the button anyway. And the reason for that is because usually these are going to be the weakest players who are going to give their chips away to somebody, and I have the opportunity to take the pot, usually heads up, in position against one of these weak players. So the bottom of my range for doing this is going to be hands like King Deuce suited, any Ace X, any pair, mid-suited connectors, quite a few hands. And despite the fact that we miss or going to have to fold, this is still a pretty nice situation when we see action like this, because when we do actually connect, we're going to get paid off very nicely. A couple of folds. We're not going to be doing anything too crazy in the early game, just looking for good opportunities. Kings, of course, are going to qualify. And villain just 3-bet shoves for about 30 blinds. And we happily put it in. Now, his shove with the Ace-Jack will be profitable, so I'm going to be opening enough hands on the button that despite the fact that he's overbetting, he will show a profit essentially regardless of my calling range. With that said, I prefer a smaller 3-bet because it gives me the opportunity to stay in with worse hands. So here, when he shoves, he's pretty much going to be shutting out most worst hands. Whereas if instead he 3-bet to around 300, it gives me the opportunity to make a 4-bet with a worse hand, like say Ace-8 suited. So essentially a high equity semi-bluff 4-bet. But that works so well for us. Couple more folds. Queen 4 off in the big blind. Facing some action, we'll toss. A hand like 8-5 suited is interesting if the big blind is tight of any description, so tight passive is ideal, but even tight aggressive, I'm going to raise to 250. If he's a calling station, I'm going to open limp and then stab most flops, value betting the turn and river if I connect, and otherwise usually giving up. And if he's really lag, then I'll just fold. So the fact that I folded either means that I did in fact have the read that he's quite lag, or I either just missed that spot. But situations like that, when everyone folds to us in the small blind, are going to be some of the most player-dependent in terms of our range. He's King suited, make it 300, so I think this is plenty. I'm usually not going to ISO all that much greater size-wise in terms of the amount I would have opened had everyone folded to me, because usually the player who limps is going to call. Whether we make it 250, 300, 350, or 400, we will sometimes get a few more folds at 400, but not all that much more. So pretty much we're just looking to get the pot heads up or 3-way with us having position. And obviously we're content with the call with Ace-King suited, but even if we have a hand on the lower end of our range, like say Ace-10 off, it's not so bad if villain calls. So flop comes 6-King-6, he donk bets, and this is a very clear call. Obviously we're not going to fold. There's no point in raising. So we want to keep his range as wide as possible, and here that's pretty clear, but even if there was value, a purpose in protecting our hand, like let's say the flop is 6-Jack-6 and we have Ace-Jack, you'd say, well, I want to raise to protect my hand. It's not worth it. The benefits of letting him potentially bluff off his stack outweigh the benefits of protecting against a king or queen, which a lot of the time he won't even have anyway. So same thing here, we're just going to call. If he checks the river, we're going to happily value bet, regardless of what falls. And if he bets anything less than a shove, we're going to value shove the rest of our chips. And on a very rare occasion, he might have 6x, but a lot of the time he's going to have a worse king. He's going to have a hand like pocket 7s, or just total air. So we're looking very good against his range. And sure enough, he had 5s. And so against that kind of opponent, I mean, obviously we're going to isolate with the Ace-King suited, but that's a great reason to isolate very wide, because against an opponent playing that way, who's just going to triple barrel 5s for essentially no purpose, we're going to show a profit isolating him with a very wide range of hands.